thing wasn't up, like, you know.
Now remember our positions, don't move out.
Jesus, the pressure.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our third in the series of Championship Review, the round 3 matches in review. And Podgy, I'm going to start with your major back page story, Championship at Breakpoint in Survival Battle. I think it probably aptly describes at least one of the situations in one of the groups.
Well, Group 2, as long as I'm reporting, I've never seen it, and since this system was brought in, these groups say, I've never seen a group as tight as it in my life. And even at this stage with 2 games to go, we're still none the wiser as to who's going to make it out. Remember, 4 out of 6 goals, normally you'd say 4 out of 6, that would be fairly straightforward. But this one isn't. Every team is in it right till the last kick of the ball, like, you know. So, as I say, we have a break. The break point situation is welcome for us all. We've no senior intermediate football championship matches this week, no junior matches, I don't think, in junior A. So that's break for all the players. They're being out for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and they can prepare for the crucial matches in the weekend after next, like, you know, because it's that will decide a fair bit now on Friday, Saturday and Sunday week, you know, as to who makes up the quarter-final. But again, get back to the point, there were 30 games to find the knockout 4 teams. It's an awful lot of games, like, but for the first time a group is actually working, and this group is working. The one was, we call it the group of death, that every game, there was many draws, Jimmy. It was 3 or 4 draws.
4 at least.
1 point in here and 1 point there, and never seen the like of it now, how tight it is.
Yeah.
You know, so that's good for
and certainly I think we've seen some exciting matches in round 3, and Jimmy, you're a reporter with Clubber, they have highlighted the Mullinalaghta versus Clonguish game with a highlights feature.
Yeah, they put it on. I saw it on their social media today that chose it as game of the week, and surely in Longford it was game of the week, probably in all of Clubber games it was probably game of the week. They had 65 games over the weekend. They picked this as the game of the week, and it really was, you know, it was a game, I suppose. I had tipped Clonguish going into this to probably try and pip Mullinalaghta at a time when Mullinalaghta were down a couple of players through suspension, and a game that Clonguish were coming off the bottom of the table, had to get a win, and for 45 minutes or 40 minutes of that game you thought Clonguish were going to get the win. You know, they were well ahead. They were 4 or 5 points up at half time. They went 6 points up 10 minutes into the second half, and they were really going well. But Mullinalaghta, how many times do we say it and we repeat it every year and every game? They're never beaten. They never are beaten, and they just brought themselves back into the game. Got a penalty, McGilligan converted the penalty. But one player in Longford, I love watching him. I think he's a beautiful, brilliant player, is Jason Matthews. And if you can get Jason Matthews playing well for club or for county, he'll put a team, and he did it against Clonguish. He just turned it on, won the penalty, then scored 2 great goals after. He really brought, and for Clonguish to score 18 points and not win a game, it really would have given them an awful blow to come out of that game without something, without even a draw, to lose after being 6 points up. You know, Matthew Carey again flying on the freeze and doing fierce well. Jack Duggan was back. They looked to be getting their championship form of last year back. But unfortunately, on the day when they scored 18 points, it was Mullinalaghta they were up against, and Mullinalaghta just got back into the game and pipped them at the end by a point. It was a real cracking game of football. Great enticing game.
Just to say, I was at the game, and Benny was doing it for Clubber, and we both agreed, and anybody who disagreed obviously was looking at a different game than we were. This is the best game in the championship so far. It had everything, but like in the first half it was fairly, you know, you would say Clonguish 9-4 up, playing well. Carey kind of unstoppable really in a way. Duggan when he go on them big runs, and then they go 6 points there, you say, well, this is it, like this is 2 points for Clonguish. But Mullinalaghta, you've got to handle them. Just never give up. No matter what 15 goes out in that field. Now Conor McGilligan was more or less not on the team for the last number of years, but they're down in numbers, and Conor answered the call. Look, you know, he stuck his head in now where other people wouldn't. That guy just work rate is immense, like, and Aidan in the middle of the field, his brother, you know, and then the guy that came from Leitrim, Niall Woods, he probably had his best game to date, and he's a big powerful fella, like. So while they've lost a few they gained the likes of him, to me, who came to the fore. So, like, when they get what is perceived to be their strongest team out, it'll be hard beat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just there, Podgy, I'm just going to move that so that the mic is out above that there. Podgy, going back to the Friday night match there, Carrick Edmond versus Longford Slashers, it was a 1-11 draw. I know Slashers were very disappointed at the end of that match. How did you see that match?
Well, I was at the other one with Granard and along with Jimmy, and so I was following it, obviously. We're following it closely, and Slashers were 6 points up at half time, 1-8 there. I said, no, well, we got to win anyway. Like, it goes back in track. And then Carrick Edmond, to see again, Eugene McCormick's working the old trick with most of his teams. He gets the best out of them, and a team now, they are becoming a bit like Mullinalaghta. They don't know never know when they're bet, because they have that belief instilled by Eugene, and it's a point. They don't know whether it was a point gained or a point lost. They actually were 8 points down and took the lead and time up, and our lads equalised with the last kick of the game to get the draw. Relieved in the end, but you can't lose an 8 point lead. The Clonguish losing 6. So really, they were two teams that were probably saying like we should have probably won those games, but they didn't. And that's the nature of the beast as such in the Longford Championship. See, a lot of teams, there's not much between them, and particularly in that group. Very, you know.
Don't think you were at the match either, Jimmy?
No, I watched. I saw a bit of it, and I was impressed with Ronan Clark there for Slashers. Got 1-4 for himself and got a bit of form back. That young Maguire, he had scored 2 goals in the previous, and he scored 4 points, I think, there for Carrick Edmond during that game. So again, you know, that group, you try and make a prediction as to who's going to win the game, and you just can't tell, and it's going one way, and it seemed that Slashers were nearly, not home and hose, you're never home and hose, but they seem to be going really well. But Carrick Edmond just found that spirit and that belief in themselves that they seem to have this year, and just hauled them back in. And I think there may have been a controversial point or something towards the end that,
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that, Jimmy, because at the time I thought, as did Benny, the commentator, thought it was a point, and a few other people said it to me. But I was looking at it afterwards, and I was trying to edge it, frame by frame. And I have to say, I thought the ref was right. It wasn't a point. But I must go at it again. You didn't look at it that closely.
Well,
no.
I didn't get a chance to do it slow. That would have won the game. And there was a bit of controversy over that. But again, look, when you don't have the benefit of replays, you don't have the benefit of Hawkeye or anything, you're going on 2 umpires and to do their best. And this weekend it was a breezy day, and in games I was at, balls were curling wide and just going, so it's a difficult one. Look, I suppose a draw was a fair result, and Carrick Edmond should be happy with the draw, especially when they were so far behind, and looked like they may get nothing out of the game,
Right, lads, so on Friday as well then, you were at the St Mary's Granard and Colmcille match. Granard 1-9, Colmcille 2-14. A good win for Colmcille. Yeah,
a team that you can't be written off, because they have a big squad of players, and some. Like when you could bring on the likes of Rory Hawkins, so I consider him to be a very good footballer, and a bit lucky not to be on the Colmcille team, players like that, and like the competition for places is really keen, so they're more or less through, right? So they'll be in the park again and be known to pull off a shock or two, and one big game can be a bit inconsistent. Don't produce it another day, but if they could produce it in the park from the minute they get in there, you certainly can't write them off, because they won the title 2 years ago, so they didn't become a bad team overnight, So look, Granard are badly hit by injuries at the moment, and it showed. James Kieran is missing, and Michael Hines. They're key men for them now, and they don't just getting hard to fill the gaps. Plenty of young talent coming through, but they're winning under 16, under 4, but it's going to take a bit of time. But look, when it all comes together, Granard will have a great tradition, and they'll be hoping they get through. It'll probably boil down between Granard and their own club.
That's it. It's down to that game. There's no other way out of it. That's it.
Makes that last spot.
Reeling in Mostrim.
Look, at Mostrim are going poorly, and as what you say, it's down to that last game. I think the next round of games is irrelevant in that group, really, because it depends on the head-to-head between Granard and Mostrim as to who's going to get the last quarter-final place. I think the next round, well, obviously, if Mostrim did beat Colmcille and Granard lost to Kenagh, well, then Granard are out and we're through, but I don't think that's going to happen. So it's down to the last game. Look, for Mostrim, my own club, and I'm not here to criticise lads or my friends and my family that are on that team, but when you score 1-2 in 60 minutes of football, you're not going to win anything. And to score 5 in 2 games, they've scored 1-7. That's it in 2 games of football, and out of that, Dara Doherty has scored 1-6. So the others have scored 1 point in 2 games of football. It's not good enough, and it's not Mostrim's way. And I think from talking to the family and talking to friends, Killoe were not their best Friday night. And Killoe only scored 2 points in the second half, and they were probably there for the taking. But if you're not going to go and attack and go give ball into Dara Doherty and Tiernan Hussey and those guys in there who can do damage and score, well, then you're not going to win. So it was a very disappointing, probably going into it not expecting to win the game, but a disappointing performance of only scoring 1-2. I don't know where it's going to change for Mostrim, because they're coming into the next game against Colmcille, and by God, when Colmcille opened up as they did against Granard, they can really hurt you, And for Mostrim, they're going to have to do something. The last game against Granard, if they can't get scores, it's looking bad for them,
So that was Mostrim and Killoe. Do you want to say a few words about that, or did you say something?
I saw Edgerton against Rathcline. I wasn't impressed. As Jimmy pointed out, they have scoring powers, but they're not getting the ball into them. They're capable of putting up bigger tallies. I'd apologise, and they're a good footballer there as well. And they're going to have to go all out now, or that's it. If they want to go on the defensive, then you need wins, and they're not going to get it that way.
From the point of view of Killoe, they had Micheál Hughes back in the goals, which is a positive for them. I think Liam Hughes was back as well, so they probably didn't. They knew they were going to do enough, and probably used that game to bring a few of the boys back from injury that they could bring back. Still no sign of Mickey Quinn, but I don't think they're going to need Mickey Quinn until they get into the Pearse Park for the quarter-final stages, and probably give him that rest and let him, although they probably want to get a bit of football into him before that. But they've huge options, Killoe. They've huge bench, and they're looking very good.
It was thought that Mickey might make it tight to make it in the championship.
Right. Okay.
Whatever his injury is, it's a slow process.
Okay.
So, but they have that much strength in depth that even without Mickey.
Yeah, they can do without. Yeah.
But having said that, if they had him, obviously they'd be an awful lot harder beaten. But
and they have the strength and depth. Is that just a cyclic thing? This cyclical thing. So certain clubs, they have just a large number of players, or is it more? Is there something else?
They're quality now on the bench. You like Keane doing it, they're not making it now. Another player, a bit like in the Rory Hawkins.
Yeah.
We're not to confuse with Rory Harkin, Mickey's son.
Yeah, Rory.
They're too. Fellas I watched growing up in the football, and they kind of stood out because they were score getters, but they're not making their respective teams. So that says a lot for the actual squad and the team that decided on.
You look back in the last 10 years, Killoe have won under 16s and they've won minors, and a few of each of them, so they have that coming through, every year they have new players coming through, and Davin Donnelly sort of was started again as a second aim, and Igo was started, where they only made their debut the week before, so they're all fighting for their place and doing it.
McManus lad too, Shane McManus, I think, lads that came from they had a good junior setup, but although I think they were beaten last week, that was a big surprise. They were beaten by Slasher. Slasher's got a goal, but you see, there has to be football for all these guys. So if they don't make the breakthrough the senior, they'll end up just walking away.
That's the thing.
So they're getting their opportunity now.
They're taking it.
With Luke and Busty Kai, and. As I said, it was lads are missing those fellas that come in. So not a bad complaint.
Wish we had it.
We covered Mullinalaghta and Clonguish. So the other match on Saturday was Rathcline and Kenagh. As somebody described it to me, a bit like a basketball score and one-sided.
But again,
Jimmy.
Rathcline, and I think we're underestimating them. They're going very well. And they started that game without Shane Kenny, and they started without Cian Gilmore, who went off injured the last day. They had O'Sheen Kenny back. But other lads like Goran Kenny scoring heavily again, you know. Unfortunately for Kenagh, they didn't score in the first half, and then it was, you know, damage limitation in the second half for them, you know. And but Rathcline, they put up a similar score against Granard in the first round, you know, so they're capable of doing it. They're getting goals. Ronan English come on and scored 2-1, I think it was 2-1 or whatever he scored.
That was his first game, Jimmy.
I think so, yeah.
He hadn't played in a while now.
No, and I was looking, and I didn't see the game, but I was just looking at your report, and like 2-1, you know, so guys stepping in and scoring goals, you know. For Kenagh, I'm afraid it's a fight now to try and maybe get a lucky draw in the relegation. But you look at Group 2, you're not going to get a lucky draw there. You know where they're going to. So it's looking like a drop for Kenagh at this stage, you know. But that was a heavy defeat for them after doing so well, Podgy, in Europe in the 2 games.
Yeah.
You know.
But they're missing a few players as well. I think Darren Carberry is gone from the panel from what I hear, you know. So I mean, he was the man that more or less won the intermediate for them last year.
That's not an injury now. That's a.
No, he's gone, I think.
Yeah.
And I think there was talk that he was going to join some club in Dublin. I don't know.
Okay. It'll be a loss for them. Yeah.
He's a big loss because he's a scoring forward. He's everything because he can score from play and he can fire over frees as well, and he has an knack of scoring goals. So I mean, when you're missing someone like Killoe won intermediate titles, and the 2 to put back to back in the 1 year, Carby was stand out, like, you know what I mean, super. You know?
Yeah,
at that level, definitely, you know. And actually, he could play. He could get into nearly every single team.
Yeah, he'd be touching into it. Yeah.
And lads, the last match then on Sunday, Dromard beaten by a point by Abbeylara.
Yeah, I commentated on this one. It was a real good championship game, you know, over in Colmcille. It was 2 similar teams, and I suppose I said that at the start of the commentary, there's not going to be nothing between these teams. You know, you were at Mick, you know, and it was Dromard got the first 3 scores, then Abbeylara got the next 5, Dromard came back, and that's the way it was the whole way through. They were level at half time, and it was tit for that the whole way through, and lots of hard hitting, yellow cards being dished out, a bit of a shamozzle over the far. It had everything you want in a championship match, you know, real good, open, fair, you know, hard hitting and everything. You know, Dromard used early on to put German Masterson in on the 40 or in the 14-yard line, and were hitting high balls into him, but PJ Masterson was well up to it. It wasn't working out for them, you know, so that tactic was. Robbie Smith was going well there for Abbeylara, scoring points, but again, Robbie just that little bit of, you know, on the edge football, and he got himself 2 yellows and got sent off in the end. But then at the very end, just for Dromard, they hadn't been up. First 3 scores they got, and that's the last, when they were 3-2 up, they hadn't led until the last few minutes of the game. They got back into the lead 12-11. And then I thought they were going to hold on, but the last 2 scores came down, and Fergal Battram scored an absolute beauty of a score to win the game, you know, deep in injury time. But it was a really enjoyable championship football, and it leaves Dromard now on 3 points, whereas they were unbeaten, had a win and a draw. Now they're playing Clonguish and Slashers in their last 2 games. If by chance they lost the 2 of them, they're out. Do you know, that's that group, you know, you're going well, and all of a sudden Slashers and Clonguish need to win, so who the hell knows?
Clonguish or Slashers play Mullinalaghta in the next round, and if they win, after all talk about Mullinalaghta and the great win last week, that if Slashers bet Mullinalaghta, they join Mullinalaghta in 4, I would move ahead of them on the head-to-head.
Yeah, the head-to-head.
So that's what it is. So, like the Slashers are kind of been written off. Mullinalaghta, we're talking maybe they could go and win another title.
Yeah.
So like,
I know.
it's right in line.
You have to get to a quarter final to win the title, and that's the big task.
Lads, and I know last week we asked you where. Can you call it 1, 2, 3, 4 in each group? Podgy again this week, 1, 2, 3, 4, please.
Yeah, well,
Group A.
I was just thinking about that today, Mick. This is getting tough now because initially I said Carrick, Edmund and Slashers. And it could still be Carrick, Edmund and Slashers. But of course, if Clonguish lose to Dromard, they're gone. But look, I'm going to stick with Clonguish. I think Clonguish are in a knockout situation now. They have 2 games. They play, I think Abbey is in the last match, is it?
Abbey, yeah.
Dromard first.
Yeah. They have to play, Abbeylara. They've Dromard and Abbeylara.
Yeah, Dromard and Abbeylara. They have to win the 2 matches. It's basically a knockout situation, as if in the old way. You won, you go through. You lose, you go out. So that's the way they'll be looking at it. But unfortunately, the injuries are beginning to tell against Clonguish this year, and one in particular. Andrew Flynn went off at half-time against Mullinalaghta, and the gap started to appear. He centre half-back, great young Gosling altogether, you know, and so he has to be considered a big doubt. And now he has a couple of weeks to prepare, which is great for everybody that they have a chance. If anyone has injury, has a chance. But I just thought that the Wharton commanded when he went off, you know. But
and this injury, is it? What sort of an injury?
Well, they kept him out of the first couple of games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he wasn't starting the first couple.
The actual injury I'm not too sure about, but as I say, he was on the team in the championship last year, so you can't afford him. Michael Finn is back now, that's a plus. He came on towards the end, real good corner forward, and he'll probably start the next day. Now, Duggan and Carey, obviously, you know, at the end of the day, when you players like that in the hurling, you always have a chance.
Oh, yeah.
And,
so, Podgy, can you call it in 1, 2, 3 and 4? 1, 2.
Well, one I'd say, I don't even know if Abbeylara finished top. It's that tight.
They're going well. I like this. I like the quarter jib.
Frankie has them. I said earlier in one of these programs that the Frankie factor, and that he had a good structure about them, which you can see. And they're not giving up, even when they look better than Jimmy. They come back and won the matches. They're winning tight games, getting results. I'd say Abbeylara, Mullinalaghta. Clonguish and Dromard might make it. I still think the Slashers and Carrick, they mightn't pick up any more points, Slashers and Carrick.
Yeah, or they could win the 2. Or they could,
Your 3 and 4 are?
My 3 and 4 are Dromard and
Mullinalaghta.
No, I still speak to Clonguish and Mullinalaghta and Abbey to go along with them, with Dromard. As I say, Mick, when I did the prediction at the start, that was the predictions, and I'm going to stick to it.
No, it's not a sin, you know. And
no, but I'm not going to change.
Sins are
Another
no
habit
longer
of change.
a thing, I think.
Another habit of changing horses now. Even though I like an old bird now, but
the jockey could fall off.
But look at. And some people might say taking the pressure off Slashers. Look at Slashers having a good year. They're in the relegation battle in the league, like, you know, and there's players missing, and you know, so I wouldn't look at them.
Jimmy, I'm going to move on to you now, and I would appreciate if you could do less procrastination than your colleague there.
I'm going to
1, 2, 3 and 4.
I'm going to procrastinate a little bit because I wanted to talk about Abbeylara, and I gave Russell Brady there was no real standout player for Abbeylara that stood out and said he was the best, but I gave it to Russell Brady for hard work on that. It was just in the interview. They're playing with a smile on their face, and I brought up Frankie and Garvin Dolan, and it was the smile. They're really enjoying working under them by the looks of things, you know, and that helps when you're out playing football. That's my procrastination done. Now I'm going to go back and well, it's obvious, like, Killoe 1, Rathcline 2, Colmcille 3, and I'm going to stick with my prediction that Mostrim are somehow going to wonderfully manufacture a load of scores against Granard, beat them in the last game to get that last qualifying position and a quarter-final. So Killoe, Rathcline, Colmcille, Mostrim.
That's in the other group.
No.
Yeah.
Podgy,
that's why you asked me.
Can I ask you to
ask
just
remember?
No.
You've done that.
Can I ask you, please, now, to follow this man's example, and maybe you didn't do homework for the last one. Your homework for the next one now is to follow his. So when I ask you next time, who do you think is going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4? None of this procrastinating, and just give me an answer. Is that okay?
I make people coming up to me and says, "Please don't tip us."
Yeah. So Gary Kevin and Slashers and the lie that you put them in 5th and 6th. Yeah.
I know I can't win matches, but
I think you're giving yourself an awful lot of power here in determining outcomes.
Yeah, the only thing about it is a lot of teams prefer to be the underdog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's a psychological thing, Mick.
Yeah.
But look at we can't.
I do think that the championship improved this weekend, and maybe because it's getting to that stage where, Jesus, a win is nearly essential in some cases, but there was more enjoyable games, like the Mullinalaghta Clonguish game was very enjoyable, the Dromard Abbeylara game was very enjoyable, I presume the Carrick and Slashers game, it looked an enjoyable game as well, tight. So it's improving that little bit, the championship.
Could be said for the other group, but
Yeah.
You know, it's just that it might be a small bit lopsided in the way the draw came, but that's the look of the draw.
Yeah.
You six.
But then you would never have thought that Rathcline were going to be so dominant in their games. You know, looking at the start, you wouldn't have said it. And you would have maybe thought Colmcille coming up out, you know, like they looked like the Division 1 team against Granard, to be fair. And they could have put away an awful lot more scores against Granard. Granard were poor. And again, Mark Tully went off injured for the second game in a row. Like, how fit is Mark? And is he going to be ready in a couple of weeks' time?
Like Andrew Flynn there, you know, like, and if you're missing key ones like that, you could be in a spot or bother.
Yeah.
As I say, it's going to be interesting. Like, anyway, at least they've no games this weekend.
Yeah, they have a rest.
And in terms of intermediate or other matches, lads, were there any last weekend?
Yeah, I was at one now. It wasn't very good, Mick. It was Cashel and Ballymahan. Now, Ballymahan were after losing the first 2 games, and everybody was talking to go down to junior. But Jesus, they came out anyway, and they were highly charged and needed the win and got it, and deserved it because they had to win the first half. And 9 points to a goal at half time. Cashel were 4 in the first half. Finished strong, only beaten by 2 in the end. They'll be in the hunt for the last spot now, and that it's the top 4. Like there, I would say. Like Conley's looked the team in the intermediate championship.
They had a big win there,
and the Gales, Fallimani Gales, and then you've all the rest in the battle for 2 spots.
Yeah.
You know, there's 5 teams, and 2 of those go down to junior.
I think, what is it? It's Conley's and Dromard are on 4 points, and everybody else is on 2, isn't it? That's the way it is. Conley's of a game less.
Yeah. The Gales.
Yeah, so they're looking strong.
They had a bye in the first round. Daniel Reynolds now, and I wasn't at that game, but I saw him in the. That's right. They're all raving about him, how well he's playing, like, you know, like that.
He's a good player. He's always been a good player.
You know, so, and Conley's was knocking at the door the last few years, and it's about time to get in.
Yeah,
you know, because you know, if you keep on falling at the final hurdle or that, you know, it's a big blow.
Like it's harder to do it and keep lads interested and keep them coming back. You know,
you know, but that's always a good championship anyway, and it's they have loads of games, Mick, because I mean there's 7 teams here, so we won't really know how that's shaping up until we're into round 4 next. So. Yeah, I think there's 7 rounds in total, like, you know, so, because one team has a bye. Yeah. But you won't really know until sometime in September how that's
where it's going, and it's very tight again.
Well, I'll put it this way: Sean Conley's following Gales.
Yeah, probably definite 1-2 there.
Definite 1-2. It's looking like that now, and the rest battle it out, you know.
Junior matches this weekend?
Junior matches again. Legan had a good win in the junior. Yeah, did a good win.
I'm playing with them that Gary Kenagh from Kenagh.
I didn't see the.
I know Gary now. He played a Manning Cup with Westmeath and a fella. Yeah. Real good talent, like, you know. And I think he scored 8 or 9 points in the final a couple of years ago. He's in Carrick now. His father's referee, I think.
Oh, Brendan, yeah, he does matches.
And I don't think Legan are as strong as they were. Grattan's will be hard betting that now. Yeah,
Grattan's weren't out this weekend. No, they had a bye. Had the Slashers won, didn't they?
No, I think they were all out.
Oh, were they all out? Yeah.
6 teams in that group.
Yeah.
You know, and what you call it? Yeah, Slashers beating Killoe was a surprise. Colmcille thought they'd do better. They're after losing a couple of games. You know, Grattan's are going well. Grattan's who'll get through them, that's the question. Could be a second string. Might be Killoe. Could be Legan. Better if it's Legan Wales. There's only 2 solid junior clubs in the
That's it. And,
you know what I mean? Like.
Very good.
But,
right, lads, I think that's it for this week's episode, and we look forward to.
I have to mention, Mick, you know, you always forget the hurling, Mick, unfortunately now. I know it's a football county and that, but the reason there's a break this weekend is to let the old hurlers have a go at it. You know,
the hurling on?
It's on Sunday at 2:30 in Clonguish between Wolf Tones and Longford Slashers.
Right.
Can we touch on the any word on the county manager or anything, Podgy? Did you hear anything?
Desi Dolan, I heard somebody talking about Desi Dolan.
I heard that many names.
Yeah, sure, anybody that drops another county they're talking about.
That maybe the next time. I think we'll try and sort out this group to that for us.
That's a bigger problem.
That's a bigger problem. Trying to predict who's going to come out with that. But has people talking anyway.
That's it, exactly.
Sure, it's interesting, all that. And how will that how will that come about? There's a meeting. There's a
three-man group.
Subcommittee. Is there?
James Clark, Podgy Davis, and Michael Kenny are the three-man group with tasked with going to find a manager or bring suggestions to the county board as to who they might recommend. Yeah. So.
Lots of names been bandied about now, isn't there?
That's it. But sure, anybody that's out of a job will be mentioned.
And is it likely that this subcommittee can make that choice, put it forward, and then
Well, you'd imagine that the county board will take on board.
It'll be ratified by the county board.
County board.
Normally, when they make a choice, that's it.
That's it. That's their job. Yeah.
And on the way into Dromard last week, I'd have to say the Dromard grounds was looking brilliant. They handed some club. There was something to Mike Mullinalaghta and Derek Duggan, Jack's father, and they mentioned Fergie O'Donnell.
Right, he was with Killoe there a few years ago.
But Fergie hasn't, not in this neck of the woods, and he hasn't managed in teams, but and he managed Roscommon.
He was with Roscommon, did well with Roscommon. Yeah.
It's another one.
Well, it must be seen.
I'd like to think they'll go for a local for 1 year anyway.
It'd be great to see a local,
Just to get the whole thing back on track, because that's a low ebb at the moment. Let's call it spade now.
But with all these championship matches being played and players on view, you'd love to have somebody there that, they can see them playing, Yeah.
That's where a local would, if they got a local in, then he wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he'd know them.
There's some job trying to pick them, because the best players are local players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing, you see, and you're not going to get them playing,
I met Finn last week for Ballymahan, they played him a sweeper, they swept up everything.
Yeah.
I think he must be nearly 40 years of age.
Yeah. This is the thing,
and
every club has them, Dromard has them, Abbeylara has them.
For a bit of class, quality, And Emmett was on the, I think he won the Leinster minor title with Longford.
Too.
He was on that team, wing back from Ballymahan,
Very good. Okay, lads, thanks again for your contributions, and sure we'll meet you folks after the next round of matches. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mick.